Is it? No, I think we have our own.
Oh, you got your own.
Yeah. They're different colors, but we all
Stevie.
have it.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
I told Pete, I said, I sure hope that little guy looks like his mommy.
Let's say it louder.
Good luck, Pete.
I hope so too.
Hey, you can hope whatever you want.
Hey, Pete. Good luck to you, man.
So be it.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the meeting of the Tulare County Board of Supervisors. We will now stand for the flag salute, which will be followed by a moment of silence. We will be led today by Supervisor Crocker.
Salute. Pledge.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, item number 1 on today's agenda is Board of Supervisors matters. I will look to my right, Supervisor Crocker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last night and several days last week, I participated in the Miss Exeter competition.
As a judge or contestant?
Well, I won.
Okay.
They were
The
short on
tiara was
contestant.
not quite as big as I anticipated, so I couldn't wear it. It would look a little funny, but it was, there were 12 participants, and as much of the negative news that we see on a regular basis, there's still tremendous amount of hope and bright spots, and those young ladies were absolutely phenomenal. They were highly active and involved in their community, at school. They all were outstanding in their academic performance. They had a great deal of confidence, and they were able to show their creativity throughout the competition. And I know Chief Norman was the master of ceremonies last night, and he did a phenomenal job. And then it was great to be a part of that. And so with that, I'll put in a little plug for the Exeter Chamber and the downtown businesses. For anyone that throughout the month of October, the Exeter Chamber hosts a scarecrow contest where local businesses create some type of theme. This year, the theme is homegrown and out of this world. And there are some truly creative decorations outside of businesses. So if you're perusing downtown Exeter, there's some phenomenal ones. 2020 Advisors, I know they have a Star Wars theme with a whole like spaceship and everything that like comes out of the swamp or whatever. Anyway, it's pretty phenomenal. I mean, some people, they really go all out on this thing. So, and you can vote and you can help participate that way, and they'll be up throughout the entire month. This Saturday is the Exeter Fall Fest, so there will be a parade and activities. If you're going out, I'd encourage you to do that. This week I am attending the Northern California Water Tour with the Association of California Water Agencies, and some of the highlights that we'll be looking at is we'll be looking at the Oroville Dam and some of the actions that they've been taking since the spillway fiasco. We'll be looking at the potential Sites Reservoir location and the project, and I will be actively promoting Temperance Flat during that process. And we'll also be looking at Shasta Dam as well as many other things. But those are probably the three biggest highlights of what I'll be partaking in this week. And with that, turn it back over to the chair.
All right, Supervisor Shucklian.
Thank you. Last Wednesday we had our our Step Up Youth Challenge Summit. Went off without a hitch. At least most people, they wouldn't know if it didn't or not. It was a good event. Over 400 middle and high school students from throughout Tulare County who are now embarking on their challenge project for the rest of the year that will have the red carpet event in May. So that was a great event. On Friday, Supervisor Crocker, myself, and council participated in the United Way Golf Tournament, and we had a good time. That's all I'll say. We didn't win.
Run out of balls.
We ended up, 7, 8 under? That was pretty good.
On paper.
On paper. Come on now. I kept score the right way.
Exactly.
That's why.
I used that.
Sunday, I had the pleasure of presenting a proclamation for Italian Heritage Month to the folks at the Sons of Italy Hall. Yesterday morning, Cass, I attended your swearing in. It was a very nice event. Your wife makes some great granola. That was some good stuff, homemade granola. And last night, I attended a forum at 210 on homelessness, and there was a representation from Tulare County Mental Health. Patricia Wright was there speaking on behalf of mental health, and it was a great event. There was folks from Visalia PD, Family Services, the Rescue Mission, and also Michelle from the Kings and Tulare Homeless Alliance. And one of the big issues that kept recurring through the night, and the wish list of everybody on the panel, was more housing. Family Services has financing vouchers to put people who are chronically homeless right now into housing, but there's nothing available. Whether it's a private landlord with an apartment, somebody with a room to rent, they will pay and guarantee that funding for the rent for somebody. So last night, I stepped up, taking from another of our programs. I have a rental here in Visalia. It's currently occupied, but I committed last night that when that becomes vacant, I will contact Family Services or another organization and provide my property as transitional housing for a homeless person through one of these programs. So I know we have a lot of people throughout Tulare County that own apartment complexes, that own multiple properties. If you really want to do something about the homeless problem, this is something that you can do. So I encourage anybody else throughout Tulare County that wants to do that to contact probably Family Services would be a good place to start, Jason, because they're ready, willing, and able to case manage folks that go into these housing programs. So that's all I have to say.
All right, Supervisor Worthley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just on that point, Supervisor, I believe it's Tehama County. There's a CSAC video clip about what they did to create a little village using kind of tough shed type buildings. And I mean, the reaction that you had was one which is not uncommon. But if you're going to be living under on a riverbank or under an overcrossing versus living in these kind of structures where they're clean, well maintained, and people have a chance of improving themselves, they had some very interesting testimonials of people who are very, very happy to have those, because I mean, when you look at the alternative, it's a big step up. So I was last week at the CSAC Executive Committee meeting in Oakland, Alameda County. Our chairman is from Alameda County, and they typically try to host these events where the chairman's from. If you think we have homeless issues here, I saw unbelievable homeless problems in Oakland, and I'm told that what I witnessed or saw was just one of many encampments that were just, I just was blown away. I couldn't believe how bad it was. One of the things we talked about at the executive committee was how difficult a year it was this year for counties and the state legislature and the governor's office. And just as a quick reminder, IHSS, the effort made there to offload a lot of the state obligation onto counties, and I believe our staff did a monumental job of dealing with that. But we basically have a 2-year window, and then it's going to come back. And it's not a sustainable situation. It really needs to be looked at holistically, fundamentally, how it's going to be changed, because it's not sustainable the way that it is. But we have a 2-year window to deal with it. Another was SB 649, and that was a legislative effort that was passed and signed by the governor, I believe, that allows for the installation of radio towers, on county properties, and you really are not allowed to prevent it from happening, and it caps the price and so forth with the cost, and it's again taking away private or the local land use authority from counties, and that is always a constant battle. The state is forever trying to take away our local land use authority, and that's the latest example. And then the other one was AB 1250. And that one would have basically eliminated, wiped out our nonprofits that we now deal with for a lot of our county services. And it's essentially a problem in search of a solution. I mean, there is no problem. What we do is we hire people at the county level. We look at our staffing levels. We have the most people, I believe, employed in county government that we've ever had, and that's true across the state. Because that's the argument that's being used by the public unions, is that, well, you're just contracting out to avoid hiring people. We can't. A lot of these positions we need to hire outside people because there are no people we can hire. And sometimes you need people like, how about take asbestos abatement? We're not going to hire people to do asbestos abatement when it's something we just do periodically. You have to contract out for those kinds of services. So that's become a 2-year bill, so it has been put aside, but it has not gone away. We're going to have to deal with it again next year, and it can be brought back to the floor and voted on immediately. That's a possibility. So it was a very tough year in our CSAC. I mean, this is one time we can really look at CSAC and say these people worked very, very hard for all counties, and Tulare County benefited from the efforts that they've made. So that's all I have today.
Okay, Supervisor Ennis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thursday, we'll be meeting over here in Visalia for our planning meeting for Washington, D.C. with TCAG at 11:30. And that same day and same time, my California Hot Springs meeting is going on. And I think that the fire chief has said he will take over running that meeting for me, and I sure appreciate it. I hate missing it because I really enjoy going to those town hall meetings in the unincorporated areas in the mountain areas. I know we canceled the one at Camp Nelson due to the fact of the fire up there, so we didn't get to have one up there this year. We will have one next year, but that's something that I like to highlight and like to bring all the resources together so that the people, if they have a complaint or if they have whether it be the roads or whether it be with fire or the highway patrol, Forest Service, CAL FIRE, we bring everybody together so that they can voice their concerns. So I hate to miss that meeting up there, but I've got to get this planning meeting done so that we can go to Washington, D.C. A little bit worried about going back there and asking for federal money now that California has declared itself a sanctuary state, and we know how the president stands on that. He doesn't really appreciate a sanctuary state. I hope it doesn't cut our federal money because we got the Deer Creek Bridge built out there last year with federal money. That's how we built that bridge. So hopefully that won't hurt us that bad. Tonight I'll be going out to Ducor. We've got a resource fair going on at the school, and so I'll be out there at 6 o'clock at that meeting. And that's pretty much all I have. Thank you.
Supervisor Shuckle wants another bite at that apple.
I do. Yesterday also was our Health Advisory Committee meeting, and we got a great presentation by one of our staff analysts on public health accreditation. Our public health program is right now going through the process to become accredited. This is a new thing that started in 2007. Funded partly by the Centers for Disease Control, and basically it's an evaluation of our program, and it's important because it validates the work that we do here in the county in our public health. It will be engaging the community, reflecting their concerns, addressing their concerns, and it's a public health branch that's making a difference in our community, our public health. So through the coming months and all, and it'll eventually come to the Board of Supervisors. So I think that's very important. It's like with hospitals with their joint commission accreditations that they go through every 3 years and whatnot. So I think it just adds a little more to our program. So thank all the staff for going through this.
So before I go over some different events and functions that are happening this week, I want to highlight what happened for me this past week, and I will ask for Candace's assistance at this time. My wife gave birth to, you want to dim the lights, Candace? Can't really, yeah.
Oh.
Gave birth to my son, James Blake. He was 9 pounds, 6 ounces, almost... It was kind of funny. They said 20 inches long at the hospital, and he just had a pediatrician appointment yesterday, and he said 21 and a half. So I don't think he grew an inch and a half in a few days, because that's faster than I can grow. Yeah, and then that's my little family. So I've got my son Pete John, my daughter Emmy, and I'm holding my son James. So that's
like his mama.
That's my family, so it's growing, but yeah, it's really exciting, and he's a healthy little guy, and my wife is healthy, and it was just a great experience. So, and you'll now see another Vanderpool walking around this county. He's got a little while before he walks, but there's another Vanderpool here, so that was really exciting. Thank you for all the well wishes and thoughts and prayers I received. Very helpful. So a few meetings and functions I want to highlight this week. I think it's actually, I have a very interesting meeting this afternoon with a constituent who has an interest in obtaining a permit in the county for the use of biosolid fertilizers on Tulare County ground in agriculture. So I want to thank our Ag Commissioner for throwing that my way. I appreciate that. Look forward to learning about human fecal matter. Also on Wednesday, we have a LAFCO meeting that was changed from last week due to the lack of a quorum. That's going to be Wednesday at 2. The first 5 commission will be meeting on Thursday at 10. That's always a very good meeting, and I sure appreciate all that first 5 does for those under age 5 and their young parents as well. And then Saturday, at Tulare Western for the first time, they're going to be having the opening ceremonies for the Relay for Life. They can't be doing the Relay for Life in Tulare at the Tulare Union track anymore because they just installed an artificial turf, and they don't want anybody staking tents or ruining that. So this event will be held there for the first time. They do a fantastic job with this event. The Relay for Life in Tulare is always very well attended and raises a lot of money for the American Cancer Society, which is a cause near and dear to, I think, a lot of our hearts. And that's sad to say, but it's wonderful that we have an organization like the Relay for Life that makes that happen. So with that, that will conclude Board of Supervisors matters, and I will move to item number 2, which is a request to adopt a resolution proclaiming the week of October 8th through 14th, 2017, as National Fire Prevention Week in Tulare County. I will now call forward our fire chief to do this presentation. I like your undershirt, Chief.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the board, Chair, Mr. Spada, Ms. Peterson. The 3-kid dynamic throws you into a zone defense. I remember not getting any sleep from like 93 to about 99. Those are great times, though. Help me, Candace. Good morning. Ironically, I'm talking about Fire Prevention Week this week.
It's so fun.
Try to pull the microphone close to
This one? You hear me now?
That one.
I had that one.
With what's going on in our state of affairs in the fire service, Fire Prevention Week was created after the Great Chicago Fire in 1871, and a lot of case law and a lot of subsequent things happened out of that tremendous tragedy that burned all of downtown Chicago, as well as killed numerous people. This year's message is find 2 ways out, exit drills in the home, having a fire safety plan. I know early in my career I went out, did a spiel at a local school in Visalia, ironically, 2 or 3 days later, they had a fire at this house, and everybody was waiting out at the mailbox when our first aid engine companies got there. So as much as you go through these public education exercises, they really do work on a grassroots effort. We try and target the second grade class, so we have prevention staff. Last year, engine prevention staff came in contact with over 12,000 students, 48 station tours, mostly second grade as previously spoken, 775 station tours, visited 132 organizations, associations, speaking to over 10,000 attendees, created 46 displays reaching over 16,500 attendees, and year-wide we participate in 17 parades throughout the county. The visibility and getting out there, and if you target a particular audience, the first grade, second grade, they bring this message home to their siblings, they bring this message home to their parents, and it really spreads the word. I just briefly, I'd like to acknowledge our prevention staff. Chief Marquez over here, Inspectors Herrera, Adney, Farr, and Mayor, as well as Captains Rose and Bear, and as well as all our field personnel. These are the people that get it done, that spread the word out there. They may not have contact with me or know who I am, but they sure as heck know who my people are. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and we will see you out in the field.
Any comments about this, Supervisor?
Well,
Worth?
we were just commenting before the meeting, it's a little ironic that we're talking about Fire Prevention Week and with what's happening in California right now in terms of fires. And, you know, in Northern California, over 1,500 structures, I believe. And when they say structures, many of those are just, we're talking single-family homes. I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures of the entire neighborhoods absolutely decimated. It looks like a bomb went off. And as tragic as this is, you used the example of the Chicago fire. Hopefully, these are the kinds of events that will wake us up to the fact we've got to get back to managing our landscape. Because if you don't manage landscape, you can have homes that are designed to withstand fires. But if you're going to allow overgrowth to occur across the street from your home, and the wind comes along, it doesn't do you any good. I mean, it's just we've got to get actively engaged in management. And when we look at the Rough Fire 2 years ago, which burned 165,000 acres, it only destroyed one structure. You know, for many people in the country, it's like ho-hum, you know, even though it's very destructive to the watersheds and so forth. But when something like this happens, where it affects an urbanized area and burns thousands of homes and kills people, people will hopefully wake up. We've got to get back to managing our landscape. So anyway, it's a tragic situation. It's not under control. Talking with Charlie this morning, there's no control. The winds are still blowing. They have major problems in Southern California as well. We're not out of this yet, but there are solutions. I mean, and we need to get going with those solutions, and that's what fire prevention is all about. So thank you, Charlie.
Supervisor
Yeah,
Ennis?
Charlie, thank you. I had an opportunity to go up the hill about 2 weeks ago, and boy, from Upper Alpine to Sequoia Crest, it was right on the road. I mean, Redwood Drive, it was on the whole left side of the road, burned. One place it jumped, looked like it burned, I don't know, 30 acres maybe, or luckily had some roads and stuff where you could get in behind it. But boy, we dodged a bullet up there too, to have that many acres burn and only lost one little minute structure that was kind of to itself. So thanks to you, Charlie, and everybody. Thank you.
It's them, it's not me.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any further questions or comments? If not, this is an action item.
Move to approve.
Second?
We have a motion by Supervisor Worthley, a second by Supervisor Ennis. Please vote. Motion passes
Thank you.
unanimously. Thank you, Chief.
Get some rest.
Yeah, I will, and you have a great fire prevention week. All right, now I will turn to item 3 on our agenda, which is public comments. I have a request from Stan Thompson. Please come forward, state your name and address, and go ahead and present. You can use either microphone.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My address is 4949 Avenue 309, Visalia. I believe that each one of you have documents that I've provided. I hope that they're self-explanatory. I came in because I wanted you to see that I'm just a regular guy. That I have family roots going back in this county over 100 years. I've taught in every continuation high school in this county, at boot camp. I've taught at the court schools. I'm a medically retired United States Marine, and I need your help. My community's loud music is literally killing me. And the reason I know that is because my VA doctors are telling me that. Did you know that noise pollution has been known to exist by the EPA since 1970? And it's as dangerous to me and people like me with health problems like me as asthma is to that air pollution is to somebody with asthma. I've been asking for help for 3.5 years to stop my neighbors' boom boxes and people driving down my driveway all the time, day and night. And nobody can help me. Nobody wants to help me, I guess. Mr. Worthley, remember our community meeting? Remember the woman that stood up and said or demanded in a letter read to you that the sheriff's department not be coming into our community unless somebody other than Mr. Thompson called? Well, she's still my neighbor, and she assaults me every day with music. I'm asking you to help me. I'm begging you to help my wife. Her health issues are worse than mine. Please Google unwanted music and the effects on the human body. Do that for me. And you'll understand where I'm coming from. I can no more control how my body reacts to somebody driving 30 feet from me at night and all of a sudden, boom, and you've sat next to people at stop signs with a boom box. I get it every night. 30 feet. I can turn over and go back to sleep. My wife can't. And so she sits in the living room. I get up and she's in there crying. I've asked the sheriff's department. I've asked the resource management. And now the VA is telling me, I've only known this 2 weeks. The VA is telling me it's killing me. Can't you come up with an ordinance so the sheriff's deputies can go out there when they hear people doing stuff like that and give them a ticket? Do something to protect people like me? It's all over the county. The sheriff deputies tell me it's all over the county. Every one of you have stopped at a stop sign and had the car next to you booming. You could feel it, actually feel it. And you look in the back seat and there's little kids in there. Just help us. Try to understand where we're coming from. We're victims and we have no power. None. Anyway, I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments and for the material. Are there any other public comments this morning? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment period and now take up our consent calendar. I do have a request for public comment on item number 4. We will pull that from our consent calendar. We are also going to take item 5 off calendar completely off calendar for today's meeting. We will take item 19 for separate discussion and consideration. Item 23 will be off calendar completely, and the item number 20 is also pulled off of calendar as well. Are there any other requests for items on the consent calendar? Supervisor Crocker.
Items 18 and 21.
18 and 21 separate consideration?
Yes.
Okay. We will also pull 18 and 21. If there are any items left on consent calendar, I will entertain a motion. Anyone else have any additional items from the public?
Move to approve balance of the consent
I have
calendar.
a motion from Supervisor Ennis.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Worthley. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, now we will take up item number 4. I have a public comment request form from Alberto Aguilar. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Alberto Aguilar. I live in 1925 East Alpine Avenue in Tulare, California. Mr. Vanderpool and members of the Board of Supervisors, this is the 3rd time that I have come before you with the same issue, with the same problem. Obviously, it's not being, either I'm being ignored, or somebody believes that what I'm talking about is not true, okay? But at the Tulare Public Cemetery, we're supposed to go ahead and post notices anytime that there's a vacancy on the board. We can't do that when we're not notified. We cannot post a notice when a notice isn't provided to our office. If you take a look at the notices that are posted, it indicates it's supposed to be posted at 3 locations. Posted here at the board, a supervisor's office. It's supposed to be posted at the district of the cemetery and at the libraries. How many times do I have to come and with the same problem and be ignored? It's not fair for the people that live in Tulare to not be notified that there are vacancies on that board that they could apply for. And I'm not saying that there's a good old boy system going around, but that's exactly what I'm being told. And I have nothing against the people that are being selected to be on there. I have worked with some of those individuals on other committees. I'm not saying that they're not qualified, but what I am saying is that you're not following protocol. Not you specifically, but I believe that this falls under Mr. Spada's and your chief clerk. It's been brought to their attention, and it's not being adhered to. And I think that it's wrong. This is the 3rd time that I've come here, and I got no problem with continuing to come and address an issue that needs to be corrected. How hard is it to go ahead and send a notice via either by mail and or through a fax machine? We do have a fax machine. The number to the Tulare Tulare Public Cemetery is 686-5544. If you can call and talk to the secretary there, she will let you know that we're not receiving the notices and they're not being posted. The notice for Pete Vandergriff was not posted, has not been received. Yet, you're going to go ahead and appoint someone to that position today. Okay? And the same thing I brought to your attention at the last board meeting. I don't understand it. You know, what do we have to do? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Candace, from the clerk's perspective, would you just real quick go over the noticing that has been undertaken for vacant positions?
Immediately after we receive a vacancy, we do send out a posting to all libraries within the county, the district that the vacancy is coming from, and then it is posted in our office. And we do that by U.S. mail.
Now, vacancies have been mailed to the public cemetery district.
Correct.
So they have been mailed there. They've been mailed to the library and have been posted here.
Correct.
Okay. For each vacancy.
For every vacancy that we receive.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I can attest that after we have not received anything.
Okay.
Regarding the vacancy created by Pete Vandergriff. You can call the number I just gave you, 686-5544, and ask the secretary there whether or not it has been received.
Thank you.
The proof of service associated with that.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from board members related to this?
Is the mailing certified or anything that we can? Certified mailing or anything? Okay.
No.
We have not done certified mail. Okay. So I don't know. Does the U.S. Post Office even offer certified mail? I'm kidding, Alberto. I know you used to work there. I'm joking with you. Come on.
Mr. Chairman, I do not appreciate having people speak from the audience in that way. We have a process whereby people come up and speak. And you've spoken, sir, and we've heard you speak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments, board members? All right, I will entertain a motion at this time.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve item number 4 by Supervisor Worthley, a second by Supervisor Ennis. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. All right, next we've taken item 5 off calendar completely. We will now move on to item 19, which is being pulled for a separate discussion.
Start with 18.
Oh, I'm sorry, 18. Let's take up item 18 first.
Mr. Chair, the only question I had for staff is why there's a delay in the project. It was we have construction is anticipated to begin in spring of 18, but previously we had said that it was going to be November of 17.
So, good morning, Reed Schenke with the Resource Management Agency. This is the Avenue 144 Rehabilitation Project. With this project, it's a mix of Measure Our Farm to Market money, but we're also leveraging federal money. That federal money wasn't available, so that's what delayed it. We had to wait for authorization to proceed, so that's about almost $200,000.
Thank you.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
I have a motion by Supervisor Crocker, second by Supervisor Shuckling. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next, we're going to take up item number 19. Item 19 was pulled for a separate comment, I think. This was an item I had requested, and I know Supervisor Worthley had requested it also. I think this is a great example of what should be happening throughout the county when there are instances where there are small communities and small water systems where there can be consolidation. I think this is a good news story. I think it's a model to strive to continue and duplicate. Steve knows a little bit more about the specifics of this instance, but I know that Munson didn't have a system beforehand, but they did have a tremendous need. The county stepped in the interim. We met the need to provide water for this community, and once we had the ability to identify a partner, we were able to identify the Sultana Community Services District to partner with, and it's a mutually beneficial thing. Sultana now gets more customers. That's a good thing. And two, they also get a new and improved well, which provides an additional redundancy within the system. So I think it's a really great news story and worth highlighting. Supervisor Worthley, you have any comments?
Well, you covered most of it. Maria Herrera was here today. She was intricately involved in that process when we were going through it. But I think the key was, as you said, that the county stepped up to deal with a problem. In this case, we had a lot of failing wells. It's a very small community. But as a part of that process, we approached the community of the CSD in Sultana, and they agreed, and the people of Munson agreed that they would become consolidated. Now, we don't really have the redundancy quite in yet because that's another project which will actually put a pipeline between Munson and Sultana, and I believe another well is actually anticipated to be a part of that process. But that will give tremendous redundancy to both systems, and if you've been out by Munson, it's an amazing, the well structure out there, and all of the improvements are made are just a fantastic. But again, the county stepped up, took a certain amount of risk, if you will, took the lead in the process, secured the funding from the state of California, got the project. It's almost complete. We're still waiting to get the final hookups and completion done. But at the end, it's not something which is left in the county's lap, and that's been an issue in the past where sometimes we end up with some of these projects, and we once they're in our hands, we can't get rid of them, and it's better to get them back into the local control. So you're right. This is a good example of what we'd like to see going forward: is be the ability to step up, lead, but at the end of the day, hand this project off to the community that really benefits from it.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions or comments from board members or members of the public? Okay, seeing none.
Gladly move approval of this item, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion by Supervisor Worthley, a second by Supervisor Crocker. I heard that little quiet second over there first, so I will entertain that. Motion passes unanimously. Great job, Ross. Nice job explaining. Now we'll move on to the next item that has been pulled from the consent calendar, and have a comment or question from Supervisor Crocker related to item 21.
21 we're doing. 21, I guess just a comment that I make. I don't have any issue with this. But I think that it's important with something that was brought up at the RCRC, the last board meeting at the end of the conference, was that some of our other rural counties are having similar type of large properties going to ag conservation easements or some type of conservation easement, and so there's an impact directly to the property taxes that we as a county receive. And I know that this in particular is minimal. We're looking at $3,200 a year, but I think this is a good opportunity to place next year in our legislative platform that we need to there needs to be a mechanism that we as a county can advocate at a state issue as a statewide issue to be able to recoup or to maintain property tax revenues if they're going into some type of conservation easement. I'm not necessarily opposed to conservation easements, but I think there's still we still need to be able to provide services, and so that would be my recommendation for this. And if there aren't any other questions, I'd be happy to move to approve.
Hopefully the state will listen more than they did about Williamson Act subvention.
Exactly.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Supervisor Crocker, a second by Supervisor Ennis. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We will now move on to item number 24 and take that up, which is a request from the County Administrative Office to approve the personnel resolution to delete Transportation Planning Technician 1, 2, and add 1 full-time Staff Services Analyst 3 to the Tulare County Association of Governments.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen. This is a brief matter. It's a personnel action. Really, it's an implementation measure that was initiated by TCAG in the sense that the TCAG board has approved this action, and we are implementing this action by documenting and recording the personnel change that is being requested. Essentially, TCAG is recommending that 1 transportation planning technician be deleted and a staff services analyst 3 position be added so that more supervisory activities can be performed and so that the individual who is selected can address a growing volume of work that is being generated in the TCAG budget. Based upon that background, I would respectfully recommend approval of the attached personnel resolution.
Any questions or comments from board members? Members of the public? Okay, seeing none, Chair will entertain action.
Second.
I have a motion by Supervisor Ennis, a second by Supervisor Crocker. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We will now move on to item 25.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
did we do something with the item 20?
Item 20 was pulled off of calendar.
Taken off.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Item 25. I know there are so many items taken off, couldn't even keep track. Item 25 was a request from Board of Supervisors staff to approve submitting a proposal to the California Department of Water Resources for the Disadvantaged Community Involvement Grant under the Integrated Regional Water Management Grant Program pursuant to water quality. Come on, Denise, this is a long sentence. I'm waiting for you. Go for it.
I'm just waiting. Doing a great job. Good morning, Board, County Council, and CAO. Denise England, Water Resources Program Manager for the Board of Supervisors. This matter today is a request to submit a proposal and authorize via resolution the submission of that proposal and also executing the funding agreement subject to approval as to form by County Council. This program comes out of the Integrated Regional Water Management program, and it is the Disadvantaged Community Involvement Grant. It is a non-competitive grant offered by the Department of Water Resources. It was carved out via Proposition 1. And the objectives for the program are to work collaboratively with DACs, community-based organizations, and stakeholders in Irwin planning efforts, increase the understanding and identify the water needs of DACs in the funding area, and develop strategies for long-term solutions for disadvantaged communities. The program requires a single application for the funding region. Proposals are accepted on a non-competitive basis, so once the proposal is ready, it basically gets put up to Department of Water Resources for approval, and it authorizes a number of eligible activities. Here in the Tulare-Kern funding region, there are 7 IRWIM groups. Those are the Cahuilla River Subbasin, the Kern County IRWIM, Kings Basin Water Authority, Pozo Creek IRWIM, Southern Sierra, Tule River Basin, and the Westside San Joaquin IRWIM. And the Westside San Joaquin is half in the Tulare-Kern funding region and half in the San Joaquin region. So they'll be participating in both programs. Basically, geographically, it's all of Tulare County, all of Kings County, most of Fresno County, and the western portion of Kern County. So it's the same region that our Tulare Lake Basin Disadvantaged Community Water Study focused on several years ago. Our region is unique in that it has had two disadvantaged community studies in the region. In the past, we had the first large $2 million Tulare Lake Basin disadvantaged community study that was completed in 2014, and it was headed up by Tulare County, as you may recall. And then the second was a $500,000 program specific to the King Subbasin, and that one was completed in 2013. So what that means is for our funding region, the other regions in the state are going to have to be really focusing on that database development and the needs assessment. Basically, we just have to update our database and our needs assessment, add a couple of new components like stormwater management and a component for drought, and then update the rest of the information. And then we can focus a lot of our money on actual disadvantaged community project development. So to put together the proposal, there was a dynamic group of IRWIN representatives, myself, disadvantaged community representatives, consultants, and community-based organizations such as Community Water Center and Self-Help both participated in that group. We took the proposal, once it was completed, we took it out to all of the IRWIN groups. We got 7 letters of support from all of the IRWIN groups for the program, and the next step is to get it approved through the Department of Water Resources. So as I mentioned, about $2 million in the budget out of the 3.4 that is available is for project development. We certainly could do disadvantaged community construction if there is a project that's ready for construction. However, the ongoing barrier for disadvantaged communities is they don't have a project that's ready for construction. They need design work, they need engineering work, they need environmental work. And so the goal will be to get those projects ready for the next round of IRWIN implementation funding, which will be coming probably next fall, is what DWR says right now. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or take your comments.
Supervisor Worthley.
Well, thank you for that, Denise. And you said the magic words. I was afraid we were spending another $3.4 million on studies. And
Yep.
I thought, well, great, more studies. But the idea that we're actually looking towards projects and getting projects completed, that is the key. So I'm very, very happy about that and supportive of the proposition.
Okay. Any further? Supervisor Crocker?
Just to add on to that, the final report is due, or we're planning on having that due July 2020.
The schedule's been updated now, okay. So it's supposed to be a 2-year grant agreement. So once we get the agreement, which we don't have in place yet, that'll probably be done the end of this year. It may be 2020, it may be 2021. It's a 2 to 3 year program.
Okay, and you already covered it, I think, but the projects are being developed as part of the process. So when the final report comes out, the projects that can be included within the scope of the funding will already be vetted.
Right.
Or through that process.
The Department of Water Resources requires that all of their funding agreements are finished with a report because they do like their paper. And so we do have to do a report as part of the program. But the actual project development will be done ahead of that. It'll be included in the report that these are the projects that were completed and here's their status. But our goal is certainly to get those projects developed and underway so that we meet the schedule for the next round of implementation funding.
Very good.
Any further questions or comments from board members or members of the public? Okay. Please do come forward, state your name and address.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, staff. Maria Herrera with Self-Help Enterprises, 8445 West Elwyn Court here in Visalia. And I'm just here today to thank the board and county staff for playing such a leadership role and being able to work with the various stakeholders from 4 county areas to, be at this point where we can request the funding from DWR. I believe Denise covered it quite well, all of the things we're looking to do. But one thing I did wanted to point out is that part of the reason why the Disadvantaged Community Involvement Program was established in Prop 1 is because at the state level, it's been recognized that disadvantaged communities have struggled for many years to participate in the regional water management planning efforts. Those of you that participate in those meetings know that it's really hard for communities to be there. It's really hard to find projects that are competitive enough so that the groups can include them in their applications. And so while we are in this funding area heavily focusing on project development, one of the key components of our proposal will also focus on education, capacity building, and addressing some of those institutional barriers that prevent communities from truly integrating in this very important regional planning effort. And I hope that, at the end of this process, we are able to both address the project development needs, but also that we end up, really addressing these issues so that communities can be part of these planning efforts throughout the next 2 years, but also moving forward. Thank you.
Any additional public comments? Okay, seeing none. Supervisor Crocker, you'd like to?
I forgot to mention, but I just want to thank Denise for taking the lead on this. I think that, this is multiple agencies involved. This is a large regional thing, and so I think it means a great deal when the past board took the step to be the lead agency on that. Plus, we get to decide on what projects we want.
Kind of.
All right. I have a motion by Supervisor Worthley. Second by Supervisor Ennis. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. That concludes our regularly scheduled agenda. Council, do we have need for closed session?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do. Items A and D are off calendar. Items B and C will be heard in closed session, and I do expect announcements out.
Thank you for attending today's meeting. Have a great week.
I started watching that like last year, but I'm already caught up in everything. That one was a...
This is Deanne Peterson, County Council, reporting out on closed session item B. The Board of Supervisors authorized the defense of Michael Boudreau and David Torres with a reservation of rights in Mikhail Jones versus County of Tulare, United States District Court, case number 117-CV01260LJ0MJS. The adverse parties are Michael Jones and Angela Anderson. This is a civil rights and trespass case. This was on the motion of Supervisor Worthley on a second by Supervisor Ennis and a 5-0 vote. Additionally, on item C, the Board of Supervisors authorized the defense of Alexander Banovong and any other later named County of Tulare employees with a reservation of rights. The case of Tina, the last name is spelled Kouyumtijian versus County of Tulare. This is a Tulare County Superior Court case number PCU 270934. The adverse parties are Tina and Charlotte, last name spelled Kouyumtijian, represented by Alexander Reed Crace, Bailey Reed Crace. This case involves a motor vehicle accident. The roll call vote was on the motion of Supervisor Worthley, on a second by Supervisor Ennis, and a 5-0 vote. This concludes the reporting out for today.